Hello, today we're going to work on getting your spreadsheet set up properly so we can build Google Forms from your Google Sheet in the information and not have any errors. So the number one reason I see that form creation fails or just something is wrong in it is because the spreadsheets weren't set up correctly. If we can get the spreadsheets right, then SheetFormR is going to build it 100% right every time. As long as it knows where to go find your data and how to organize it, then it's all pretty simple. Okay, so let's do it. So here I have a very basic spreadsheet with a sample test on here on some Disney information. And I have a form title, I have my question text, I have my answer options, the correct answer, question number, and so on, types of questions. This is nice and simple, really easy, something easy to build off of. So let's take a look at some of the features that are in, or some of the characteristics that are in this spreadsheet that are important. Number one thing that's most important are the headers, and the headers are all the things that are going to be in the front row, or I'm sorry, on the top row, the row number one on any Google Sheet. This is exactly what SheetFormR is looking for as far as what information do I need to build and where is it coming from. So does this form have a form title? Yes, it's right here. Oh, there it is in column A. Does this have 4 answers or 2 answers options, or does it have 8 answer options? And it can look right here and say, okay, there's 4 answer options, A, B, C, and D. Is there a requirement for this question? Yes, it's right here, and so on. So it knows to look for all of these things. For example, this spreadsheet doesn't have an image attached to it. Some of the other ones that we'll work with in a little bit do. So it knows, hey, I'm not building an image with this one because there's no image URL up here. So it's just looking for that information. Then underneath that header, I have the information that it's going to build. So here's the question test or text, and then I have all of the question text for all of them. And this goes down for each column of information. Now, each row goes together. So, of course, I think it's pretty obvious, but I'll just say it real quick. So, row 3 is its individual question. Who is the snowman that also creates? And then here's my answer options. Here's the correct answer. Here's the question number, how many points it's worth, is it required, and what type of question it is. It's very important that each question has its own row. I can't leak information from one question into another row. That's going to mess everything up. So there are going to be times where your rows get out way over to here. On some of the other spreadsheets that we'll work with here in a minute, then you'll see that because I can't fit everything on one screen, especially if I'm working on a little school laptop. Um, the one thing that jumps out here that confuses people is this form title. There's only one form title for a Google form. There's not individual questions for each form title, so I only need one. And SheetFormR is only going to look in the first row underneath the form title header. So it's only going to look right here in row 2 for the title of this form, and this one is Disney Test. I could put Disney Test in all of these cells, but it's not going to read any of them. So there's no purpose in doing that. It's only going to read that one. So that's all I need to have is that one. And this one looks good. It's all ready to go. I don't see anything wrong here. Everything looks good. So let's get SheetFormR open and build this guy. I'm going to open this in compact mode just so it stays over here and stays off of our screen. This is going to load up. I have the Disney test selected, of course. That's what's on my screen, so that's what it's going to map. If I come here to the column mapping, it already mapped it when it opened. It says, hey, I need to build a form title in this test. There it is in question A, or I'm sorry, in column A, and there it is. Question text in column B. Yep. Question A or answer A is in column C, and right there. Okay, and so on. You can see how everything got mapped. Now this form is ready to build. I'll go back to my build page, come down to create form, and go ahead and click that guy. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to save about 15 seconds here on this video instead of you watching it get built. Here it is right here. And the test is ready to go. It's ready to push out. Let's talk about one thing really quick on my short answer question. If you notice, what color is Dory is my question, and I don't have multiple choice because this is a short answer question. In other words, the students need to type something in. And the difference between short answer and paragraph is short answer excuse me, short answer is going to, well, for one, it's going to be short, but for two, it has to match exactly whatever it is that you put down for an answer. So, for example, for this one, I have blue as the question or the answer to it. What color is Dory? The answer is blue. If a student writes Dory is blue, that's going to be incorrect because it doesn't match 100%. You can change that. I can make multiple answers here if you want to do that. That's just up to you. But that's just Google Forms working. That's not SheetFormR at all. That's just the way Google Forms works. Paragraph, this is something that a student will just type out. And obviously on something like this, how did Marlon change over the course of the movie? You know, if you have 30 students in your class, you're going to have 30 different answers. So this is, paragraphs are not self-grading. You have to go in and grade those manually. Let's go back to the test and I'll show you also something else. So what color is Dory? When I come here, you can see the correct answers are blue, blue, and blue. I built this into SheetFormers to change the case sensitivity. So if a kid does not type, even if it's a proper noun, you know, if the answer to something is Paris and they write capital Paris and, or they type lowercase paris, it will give them credit for that. If you do not want that, you can just click on answer key and you can get rid of all the ones that you don't want if you don't want them to be case insensitive. Okay, just depends on what your tolerance level is for that. Okay, and that's about it here for this one. Let's jump to a different sheet that may be just a little bit, or has a little bit more detail to it. Let's go to this Star Wars sheet. So you can see here, this is very similar to what we just saw. I have question types. I have a form title just in this number 2 row. Here I added a form description. You can do that. You don't have to. I honestly very rarely do. This one's introducing a couple new types of questions that we didn't use on the last one, though, that are all available for Google Forms. And the first one that's new here is this checkbox. And that's where I'm going to be able to have multiple correct answers on a single question instead of a multiple choice where only A, B, C, or D is correct, or all the way to H if you want. This one's going to have 3 correct answers, A, C, and D, and I have that written here or typed in here, and here's where the answer choices are. This one has a paragraph, a drop down. So my answer is B here, and we'll talk about that once it's built. You can see this only has 3 answer options on this drop down question. And then the grid. This is the one that I like to use a lot. If you are a classroom teacher and you use Smarter Balance types test questions, you know that a lot of their questions are formatted to have the students answer with multiple correct answers. So, you know, a lot of times they'll say choose 2 that are correct, or choose 3 that the student could choose, or something like that. And this one's going to have 4 questions, and you can see that they're separated with these little guys that go up and down like this, these straight vertical lines. These are called pipes, and they're on the keyboard. You may not have ever seen them before or noticed them, but they are there. The button for that is right above the enter key, in between the enter and the backspace key. And it's going to need the shift to be pushed, like a question mark or whatever, you know, the top. And you're going to separate these with that pipe button so Google Forms knows to separate them. These are going to be my rows for the grid, and I'll show you on the completed test what I mean by that if this isn't clear. This is going to be my rows, and so Darth Vader, Yoda, Princess Leia, Han Solo, and these will be my columns: Tatooine, Dagobah, Alderaan, and so on. The grid key, Darth Vader equals Tatooine, and these are the correct answers, the key. Yoda equals Dagobah. The question is, match each character to their home planet or base. So that means Darth Vader, the correct answer for him is Tatooine. Yoda, the correct answer for him is Dagobah. Princess Leia, the correct answer for her is Alderaan, and so on. And each row is going to be worth its own point. You could see back here, this question was worth 4 points. In other words, 1 point per question. Now this one, and I'll show you that when we get to the completed form, or what that looks like. Now this form also has images, excuse me, and images are fine to put on a Google form, and I can put them right in here in SheetFormR, and it will build them for me as we go, which is really awesome. The only caveat with that is these images have to be public images. they can't be a private image. So they could come from a website or Wikipedia or whatever. And sometimes you can get away with posting just a link right here to like a Wikipedia page or an Amazon page or whatever, or something from an academic site. But honestly, lots of times they don't work correctly. So what I do is grab every image I want to use and I put them into my Google Drive. I just download them to my Google Drive. A couple of reasons for that. One, I know they're always going to work. For two, if Amazon goes out of business in 5 years and all their images are gone, their website's gone, then none of my links are going to work anymore. Or they even just reorganize their web page, or a product changes, or a map gets pulled down, or anything. Then that link is not going to work anymore if I want to pull this quiz up 3 years from now and use it again. If it's on my Google Drive, I know it's there. It's not going anywhere. There's just one thing with the Google Drive images. So here are the images that I'm going to use. A picture of the Millennium Falcon and a picture of Darth Vader. Let's go into my Google Drive. So here's those images stored in my Google Drive. By default, I already have these shared, so let me change it back. By default, these are restricted, of course, because my Google Drive is my private stuff. I don't want people just to be able to go into my Google Drive, so they are not public images. So I need to make them public images. Right now, they are not. They're restricted. If I change this to anyone with a link, now I can copy this link and I can send that to somebody and they can view my image and download it or whatever they want to do with it. And that's basically what we're doing here. I'm taking that link and I'm putting it right here, and that link is public, so now it will show up on the assessment, and anybody I share or assign this assessment to will have access to that image because it's public now. Okay, so that's how I would do that. Just make sure all of your links have this anyone with a link selected, and that makes it public. Okay, so my links are ready to go. And this form is good to go. It's ready to build. All I want to do now is go back to my build, or actually I'm already on my build, I'm sorry. I'm going to go here and change this, the source sheet. I'm not using the Disney test anymore. I am using the Star Wars test. So on sheet change, I have this checked, auto map on sheet change. So I change the sheet, so it's going to automatically map this new sheet that we're working with. I can just go check it if I want to. And you can see that all my stuff is here. So now I have an image URL in column Q, and you can see in column Q, I have an image URL. That looks good. My grid question information is down at the bottom. The grid rows are in M. Yep, there they are. So SheetFormR is seeing all this and it's saying, okay, cool, I know where all this stuff is. Let's build this thing. Okay, so I can go to build and click build or create the form, and it will create it. This will probably take, by the time it pulls these images off my Google Drive and everything, I don't know, 25 seconds or so. I already built it, so we're not going to sit here and watch it build. And here it is right here. So everything's built here. You can see my image showed up for the Millennium Falcon. What's the name of Han Solo's ship? And that way it gives the image, or it gives the student a visual to look at as well as the text. And then down here, I have also my image of Star Wars. And again, you can see where the case insensitive was given some other options here for students to be able to get this answer correct. And again, one more time, just real quick, if you don't want that, you can just go real quick and just delete those. Just click, 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 and it'll delete those. And they will only have the correct way to write it with the correct proper noun form. Here are, let's go to my checkbox. That's the first one. I think that was number 3. So here are my checkboxes. Which of the following characters are Jedis? Excuse me, I'm sorry. And you can see that I have these guys are checked. Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda. And this whole little question right here was worth 3 points. So if they would have only chosen, let's say, Luke Skywalker, they would have gotten 1 of the points, not all possible 3. Here is the grid question we talked about. So they're going to have to match this character to their home planet. So Darth Vader was Tatooine, Yoda was Dagobah, Princess Leia was Alderaan, and Han Solo was Corellia. And yeah, that makes a nice little tic-tac-toe line. You could probably reorganize that a little bit better where it's not so obvious. I didn't do that very well, but on a real test I would. And that's about it. This form is ready to go. And here I can come in here and change my settings like any other Google form. And There's nothing proprietary about this Google form. Once you build it, it's not owned by SheetFormR. It's not owned. It's not shared to me. It's just a shortcut from going from Google Sheets to Google Forms. There's nothing that I store here that we store. This is just your form, and you can do anything you want with it. From here, you can share it to anybody you want. You can push it into your Google Classroom, however you're going to work with it. Let's go do one more sheet that has a little bit more information in it. Not more, just different information. So here's another sheet on some geography of the United States. Now, there's three differences here that we haven't seen in the other ones so far. And the first one is this one's put into sections. And if you notice, I have this gap here that I did not have on either of the other sheets. These had something in each row, and the Disney had something in each row. This one has a gap here, and way over here under the section title, I have a name of this title, and it's going to build this form into sections. I like to do this sometimes, especially with my math assessments. If I'm going to do multiple concepts or skills in math, I like to put them in sections. Just helps the students stay organized. You do whatever you want. Here I have a title. This one's introducing a new question called a linear scale, and this is something we've all done before. How familiar are you with U.S. rivers and waterways? A linear scale of 1 to 5. I could make it 1 to 10 or 1 to 100, whatever I want to make it. And then not familiar is 1, very familiar is 5, and they would just rate themselves on that sliding scale. It's worth no points, but it is required that they do it. If I don't want to have it required, I can change this to no, and it won't be required. And if I don't know if I said this before, but required just means that the student can't turn that test in. So for example, here, if they did all of the questions, but they didn't answer number 9, normally when they're done, there's a button down here that says turn it in. It won't be there until everything is completed. So that's what that required means. If you look at this question or all these questions, they all have this required checked right here. If I can come back and change that later if I want to, just turn it off. But that's what required means if you didn't know that. Back to this, I have the linear scale, and then this one I have a true false. And so hurricanes are most likely to occur in the southeast region of the United States, true or false. And so the student will see true or false. The correct answer is true. It's worth a point, and it is also required. So the only thing I changed here was I have my section titles, I have a linear scale, and I have true false. And that pretty much covers all between the last 3 tests we've done. That pretty much covers all of the tests. So let's go ahead and build this. Again, I could create that. I'm going to save us 20 seconds of watching the screen, and here it is. So up at the top, you can see I have my sections where they'll put their emails. I have the U.S. states and capitals in its own section here. Section 3, the rivers and lakes. Section 4, the regions and landmarks, and so on. So everything looks good here, and this is ready to push out to students. Let's go back and just talk about a couple other things really quick. Let's go back to the Disney one since it's the easiest one to work with. Now, I realize that not everybody is going to have their Google Sheet arranged like this. This may not make sense to you, or you don't like this as the way this is laid out. Maybe you want your question text way at the very end of your sheet. What did I do there? Hang on. Okay, sorry about that. Let's say you want your question text at the end of the sheet, and you like the question number at the front because that makes sense to you. And then you want the correct answer there, here. And I'm going to bring all of these over. So what I'm doing here is just moving this stuff around because, again, all of us are going to have things a little bit different depending on where I got my, I could have downloaded it off the internet and it's completely different than what I had laid out before. My point here is it doesn't really matter how you have things organized as far as how they move across the screen left to right. I can have it like this, and I'll just change a couple of these things to show you. And I can just remap this, and SheetFormR will just automatically pick it up. I'm going to delete that column. So I have everything in different columns now, or different order now, and that's not going to change my test being created or how it is created. I'm just going to come over here, and now if you look, okay, so form title is in column A. Yep, there it is. Form description, I don't have an error. Oh, when it says it's in column B. Uh-oh, that's not even close to being correct. Question number in column C, that's not correct either. And then so on. So all this stuff is wrong now because I just moved everything around. So let me go back to I need to put on Disney. I'm sorry. So what I need to do is just run the auto map. So I'll run auto map, and now you can see it's all correct. So A is the form title, B, question number. Correct answer is in column C. That's correct. Question text, I moved all the way over here, and it knows now, hey, it's in column K now. So again, I don't need to have a standard setup for everything I build. Again, if I like it different and I want the arrange differently, or again, if I share this with a friend of mine and they change it, all I have to do is hit auto map and it will change it. Let's do it again. I'll change it one more time. So let's move this to here and this to here because I like it laid. Oops. I like it laid out like this. This makes more sense to me. Man, I'm not doing a good job. Okay. So you can see I changed those two columns. So now this is incorrect because the question text is not in column K anymore. I'll just hit run auto map and it changed it. So now I can go and build this test. Let's actually go build it. And you'll see it looks fine once it's all built. Hopefully this will take about 15-20 seconds. One other thing, so if it's getting long for you, that's okay. I got one other thing I want to show you on the headers that could save you also some time, and then that will wrap this up. All right, there it is. Built it in 23.7 seconds. So I'm going to open that form and you can see everything looks the exact same as it did before. Things aren't all scrambled and mixed up because it was able to map where all that information is coming. This test and this test are exactly identical. The one that we built with the map with the columns at the beginning in different spots, and the test that we just built, they're the exact same thing because again it remapped everything correctly. Okay, one more thing. Let's say that I don't want to have question text and points and all this stuff up here. I can also have aliases. In other words, synonyms for these that are shortened that you can substitute for this. So for example, I don't need to write answer C. I can just put C there. And how do you know what you can put there and what SheetFormR will pick up? If you go to the website, here's my website here, SheetFormR.com, and go to help, come down here to the table of comments and come right here, printable alias. Let's look at the headers first. So these are my header aliases. So for example, for points, I can write points. I could just write PTS. I could write point value. I could write score, marks, value. It will recognize all of these words or all of these terms as the same thing. If I want to come here, I can get rid of answer A and just have A. So if I want to come here and not have answer A and just put A there, put B, put C, and put D. Question text, let's see what my aliases are for that. Question text. Question, oh, I could just put Q. That's awesome. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Q. Okay, so I can simplify that a lot. And if I'm the only one using this, then I'm going to remember what these are. But if I want to have that, I can come right here above it and I can download this PDF and it will open it up real quick for me. And then I can print that if I want to have it right next to me or just save it. So that way I don't have to guess. And you can see that I have not only headers, not only aliases for the header types for this top row, but I also have aliases for my question types as well. Let's go back onto that spreadsheet or onto that PDF. So multiple choice, I don't have to type out multiple choice. I could just put NQ or MCQ, or for true false, I don't need to type out true/false. I could just put TF or T/F or however I want to do it. Checkbox, just CB. Okay, so I can replace all of these with just the aliases. So I could have that. and MC, and I'll just drag that down. Oops. And what was an alias for paragraph? Paragraph, just PA. Okay, awesome. So I like this, and this is one of the reasons I did it. Is because I don't like these columns being as wide. Now I can narrow that column up a lot so I can fit more things on one screen rather than have to scroll, especially like this Star Wars screen, or I have to scroll way over here. Okay, so my aliases, again, I get that by going to the web page and then going to the help section and coming down here and downloading this PDF. Okay, I think that's about it on the spreadsheet. If you have any questions, issues, comments, concerns, please email me. I will get back to you as soon as I see your email and try to help you out, and let's figure out what you're having issues with. All right, thanks. Have a great night.